ever driven a car that got everything right except for one thing? Well, that's kind of how I feel about this. This is the 2019 Honda Civic Si, the 10th generation Civic's sportiest model besides the all-conquering Type R. You can get the Si in 3 different body styles. This is the smallest 2-door coupe, and my favorite. No new Civic is good looking at all, but this one I will say is the least ugly. The 2-door is my favorite of all the new Civics. And the Si costs about $8,200 more than a base Civic, which is quite the jump, but you do get a lot as well. A surprising amount of tech and capabilities included for the price. Under the hood, you will find a 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder making 205 horsepower and 192 pound-feet of torque. That's a pretty big jump over the standard Civic, which only gets you 158 horsepower. Like most sporty cars, this one comes with a sport button. However, unlike most sporty cars in this price range, this one is attached to actual functioning active dampers. Pressing the sport button does, so says Honda, stiffen up the driving experience. It's not a radical change, but I can feel it getting a little stiffer when the button is pressed, and it lights up the gauges in this cool red way. Another rarity for 2019 is that you can only get the Si with a manual transmission, in this case a 6-speed with a very cool aluminum shift knob. The clutch pedal is communicative and easy to learn, very light, but the biggest problem I have with this car is also with the manual drivetrain. And that is what I would call absolutely ferocious Rev Hang. And basically that means that when I am upshifting from a low gear into a higher one, I will accelerate, let off the gas, and then I have to wait that long, that was not a joke, for the next gear. The Rev Hang can be over a second, which feels like an eternity when you're trying to drive fast. It breaks up the driving so badly, and there's no way to get around it, because if you rush the shifts, then it looks like you're learning to drive stick on the very first day. Your passengers are going to ask what's wrong with you. Now, why does it hang for so long? Well, the reason is because it's basically for emissions. Honda artificially keeps the throttle open a little bit to burn the exhaust gases a little bit more cleanly, and that is why you get the hang. It's a software issue, and that means if you want to pay Honda, an aftermarket tuning company, $700, they can reflash your ECU and get rid of the problem. I don't know if this voids your warranty or the emissions. The shame of that is that aside from the Rev Hang issue, this thing is fantastic. It's got to be one of the best handling front-wheel drive cars out there, bar none. It is just a riot to drive. And it's a shame because it's also actually fast. And the good news is that because it's just a sporty variant of a Civic, all the good Civic virtues are here. It actually has a fairly roomy back seat for a small coupe. It's not as big as an Accord, but it's actually not a complete penalty box back there. The back seat's pretty decent. It's also a real coupe. It's not a hatchback. It has a trunk, and the trunk is pretty well sized for the size of the vehicle. The ride is obviously on the stiff side, but I wouldn't call it a deal breaker. The other thing is that the smaller turbo engine affords great fuel economy in this car. So is the Civic perfect? No, it has that one fatal flaw. But if you can do the aftermarket tune and get rid of it, it would be damn near one of the best sport compacts you can buy. The Civic Si is still one of the best in the business. For Driving.ca, I'm Clayton Seams.